a call. Thank you for calling DEQ. Robin speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, yes, I'm trying to reach John Brandt's office.
Okay, hold one moment while I transfer you to his extension.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm just so sick of this.
You reached John Brandt at DEQ. This is
What a surprise.
Sunday, March the 4th.
That's okay. All right, hold on 1 second. One more phone call, and then we'll just talk about it. Hold on. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I want to make sure. Hold on 1 second. The EPA is calling me on the other line.
Cool.
The
so what do we
EPA
do?
is calling me. I don't know what to do. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. Well, if she's taking that call, I would say that was the guy that she used previously. Are you there? Okay, I'd say that was the guy that we were previously calling. So yeah, earlier, she had this number, wasn't for sure who it was, and so she called it, and it was the guy that she had talked to before.
Hello?
And yeah, I'm here.
He just called me and gave me his private number. Yes, we're finally people going to talk to the EPA. I don't need to get all hysterical. I've been waiting so long for this moment. All right, hold on 1 second.
All right.
Bruce Maroff.
Hi, Mr. Maroff.
Hello.
Okay, so what is going on with my soil sample and my roof sample for chemtrail pollution testing?
That was why we were contacting the Virginia Board of Health.
Okay, but no one's contacted me from them, and I cannot get a hold of anyone, and whoever I do get a hold of does absolutely nothing for me. I've been calling. I've literally have a list a mile long. The last time I spoke with you, I told you I have all this information, all these numbers, and I've kept up with it, and
Right.
I've gotten nowhere.
And you talked to John Brandt?
John Brandt is the most elusive. I spoke with him for like an hour, just like I did with you, one time, and then I was never able to get him on the phone again. I did speak with his assistant, Willis Williams.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his assistant. He just kept telling me that John Brandt was his boss. But, I spoke with him, and I want to tell you that, like I already told you before, it's atrocious. It's atrocious and it's obvious, and I tracked at least 3 different types of aircraft spraying chemtrails over top of my house yesterday, and I have all of the evidence, and I've been doing this for you guys, like for the government or whoever it is that's going to help me. I've purposely not been a lazy person. I've been out there documenting it for you. I haven't been putting times or anything, but I'm sure when you take photos on your phone, I don't know. I've got everything for you. I got a whole list of information and notes, and then my own personal stuff that I've been taking. So, what's the next step that we're going to do here? And you said you're with the EPA, right?
Right.
Okay, so what's the EPA going to do for me?
The EPA sets emissions that the engines, those jet engines, put out. And
the EPA does what?
We set the emission standards for the jet engines on those airplanes.
So you're responsible for the emissions that come out of the airplanes?
That comes out of the engines that are on the airplanes, yes.
Okay, so if it comes out of a different tube or hose, then you're not responsible for it?
Right.
Oh, my goodness. So that's actually like a little disclaimer that you have to allow the chemtrail planes to spray?
I don't know if I call it a disclaimer, but you're asking me what are we responsible for? And we are legally responsible to set the emission standards and the emission levels that the jet engines on those aircraft put out.
Okay, so are the chemtrails coming out of the engines? How would we know that? What are the chemtrails coming out of?
I don't know anything about chemtrails. There are contrails that airplanes put out.
I'm talking about
I know, and there are people that cling to the idea that somebody is up there spraying something.
Right. I'm one of those people.
I understand, and I'm not saying you don't have the right to believe that.
It's not a belief, sir. I just told you that I'm out there taking all my photographic evidence. Everyone knows this is not. The EPA can no longer cover this up. And what is your position? I want all your information. What is your position at the EPA?
I am a contractor with the EPA.
See, so you're not even an EPA representative, right?
I am not a direct employee of the EPA. I'm a contractor.
What do you do there?
I work on a multitude of projects.
Okay, so basically you're of no help to me at all because number one, you're not even acknowledging that chemtrails exist. You're telling me they're contrails. When can you explain this to me? Why I had 2 aircraft over top of my house yesterday, both flying at the same altitude, and only one was spraying? That's a physical impossibility. Okay, if they were at the same altitude, both of them would have contrails coming out of them.
I don't know how, with you standing on the ground, you can tell them that they're 7 miles up, that you can tell that they're both at the same altitude.
Because they were both flying side by side, sir. I have a pair of eyeballs, and I'm not an idiot, and I have logic. And you know what? I find it very, very disheartening that there are people that are trying to cover this up. Like, it's not going to stay covered up much longer, especially not with thoughtful people that are out there using their noggin and saying, okay, the sky was blue literally a half hour ago, and now it is completely covered with this chemtrail garbage and polluting the sky. And I know why. I've done an investigation into it, and I have several different theories as to why it's being done, but I'm telling you it's being done. So let's not debate. Let's not, you and I, debate whether chemtrails exist. I know they exist. You're saying that they don't. So we're never going to win debating it, but I want to know what is up with my soil sample.
We do not come out and do soil samples. The reason I sent you to the State Department to do that was hoping that they would do it.
Was hoping that the state. Well, you sent me to the DEQ, who has already stated to me that they have absolutely no regulation over air emissions at all. If it's a mobile source, if it's a stationary source, then they will investigate it. But they specifically told me they do not investigate anything mobile. What is the Clean Air Act? I would like you to explain to me what the Clean Air Act is.
The Clean Air Act empowers the EPA, if they have determined that there is a risk to human health, and in their judgment, to take action.
How much cloud coverage with contrails and other pollution that I see in the sky, how much of that can the EPA judge, and how do they judge what is the correct amount? Where's your air data for each area?
There is a group within EPA called Human Factors that determine... Okay,
there's a group within the EPA. Let's get out of the EPA. Okay, where is another group aside from a federally funded government group that is working on this? Because I see what's going on here, Bruce. There's no way I'm not going to see what's going on here. All that the federal government is covering up chemtrails. I firmly 100% believe that. Now, would I go and testify before court? Well, probably not, because I can't prove that every single federal agent is covering it up. But you're all covering it up. You know it.
Right.
I know it.
Okay.
And I want to know what is it going to take for me to get someone out to my yard to do a soil sample so I can show y'all all the barium, strontium, aluminum, and other crap that you're poisoning us with, because I believe that you're spraying chemtrails to cover up the industrial pollution that you're doing. And you pay for your industrial pollution by the ton, don't you?
We don't pay for any industrial pollution.
Well, not you. The pollution. The person that's pumping out all that industrial pollution, they pay for it by the ton. Okay. I was told that by Willis Williams. That is sick and twisted. Okay, as much money as you have is how much you're able to destroy the planet. Well, I'm not going to try to fight like a big industrial. All I'm trying to do is stop these planes from spraying pollution, whatever it may be, over top of my house.
Have you tried talking to any universities to take the samples to see if they could measure it for you?
Why should I have to go to them? You just told me that the Clean Air Act is responsible for emissions, and in your
No, it's not. I just said that what the Clean Air Act is responsible for, right?
Okay, well, then why does your statement on the Internet say for mobile and stationary sources that you regulate the emissions? I have it here written somewhere. You say that on the Internet, and if the Clean Air Act governs the air, why? That's pretty sick. That the Clean Air Act is the only thing set in place to govern the air, and you're going to tell me that you're not going to investigate the pollution coming out of the airplanes.
We investigate the emissions coming out of jet engines. We investigate the emissions coming out of cars and trucks and power plants and et cetera.
How do you investigate the emissions coming out of airplanes? Out of their engines? The
manufacturers set up the engine in a test cell. And I can send you a report of the foundation of how that was determined by measuring.
Oh, you could send me 1,000 reports.
Pardon?
Of course you could. You probably have a list of reports a mile long to back up what you're saying. I wish I had a team of federal agents that could dummy up a bunch of stuff and then back my case. Where do you live, sir? What state are you in?
I live in Michigan.
In Michigan. So basically, I'm talking to a contractor from Michigan who doesn't even work for the EPA about a Virginia Beach pollution problem. Do you see a problem with this?
Would you like to talk to an EPA person? My boss.
Oh, is that an option?
Well, if you would like to, I don't think what he tells you would be anything different than I tell you, but
I want to know about the soil sample. Let's get this done. Let's work together, Bruce. I don't want to be your enemy.
I'm saying the best independent source to go to that I can think of when we talked last time was to try taking it to a university to see if they would analyze it for you. And they can also interpret the results of it for you as well then.
Well, what about I need a government study done. I need a government, it needs to be, I can't just bring my independent lab results to the federal government and say, stop the chemtrails. Haven't you seen that movie, What in the World Are They Spraying? They already did that.
Yes.
They had over 1,000 different independent lab studies done. Yep. And how far did that get them? Nowhere. They're still spraying over top of my house even as we speak, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Well, I don't have anything more I can do for you.
You haven't done anything for me, so how could you do more for me if you haven't started in the first place?
I'm offering to give you the fact sheets on contrails. I'm offering to give you the studies that were done on setting emission levels for jet engines.
But what about the person that's going to come out and validate what I'm telling them? Y'all haven't even investigated me yet. I mean, my area, my house. Like I'm telling you right now would be a good time to send a Virginia Beach representative or someone from the EPA to my house because we are completely covered and they are spraying as we speak. I just told you that look, y'all know that I'm on the radio, YouTube, and the Internet and everywhere. So I put this stuff online for everyone to see. Y'all cannot hide. You really can't, and it's making you look really bad. Not personally, but the EPA.
I didn't think we were hiding.
You are hiding. You're hiding facts. You're covering up chemtrails.
We have no evidence of there is such a thing as chemtrails.
How do you not have any evidence? I just told you that in the movie What in the World Are They Spraying? They have 1,000 different independent. I have my own evidence if you would like to see it. I've offered it to you a bunch of times.
If it's a picture of a contrail of a plane going overhead, that's not proof.
Okay, what about the picture, the time lapse that I did over hours of time that specifically shows these quote-unquote contrails spreading apart and turning into chem clouds and then covering up the entire sky? You know that you got me saying it. You know that chemtrails exist, Bruce, and it's very, very. It's upsetting me that you will not even acknowledge it. I know they spray chemtrails there in Michigan. I know for a fact they do.
Well,
you're just going to suck it up.
It is completely normal if the humidity and the temperatures are right for one plane to go over and for the entire area that plane went over to cloud over.
Okay, how come it didn't do that when I was a kid, or like not even when I was a kid, 10 years ago? Where were the chemtrails 10 years ago?
It has been doing this since World War II.
Oh, you are so wrong. That is a blatant disinformation lie. That really upsets me because I remember my childhood. And also, let me ask you this: how come there aren't chemtrails every single day then? If it was a natural phenomenon that happened with all aircraft when they were at a certain altitude, how come there's sometimes 2 or 3 days without seeing them? What, there's no airplanes that day?
It depends on the humidity and the temperatures at the altitude that they're flying. Some days it's more humid than others, and some days they form, and sometimes they don't. It just varies. It's like...
You'll never get me to believe what I see with my own eyes is incorrect, and I am begging you at this point to please come and help me in some way. You are a contractor. You can go to your higher-ups, and you can say, look, this girl, she's really, really upset about this. We need to appease her in some way and at least do... I mean, you don't have to do my yard. I'm not asking you to... I'm asking for one government/independent test together. Like the people and the government and the EPA goes together and does it together. Hey, how many complaints have y'all had on this? I mean, I know at least 1,000 people myself that have a problem with this. So if I know of 1,000 people complaining about one thing, why is it not being addressed?
If it was real, in our opinion, we would address it.
But who are y'all to say that 1,000 people are wrong without even doing an investigation on it? You're just saying, oh, it's a contrail. You don't even know what plane I'm talking about. Number one, these could be. What if these are terrorists? I mean, think about it. What if this is actually I saw a red plane yesterday doing it. It was bright red. Do you know of any aircraft that's like bright red? Because there were the white ones doing it, the regular white chemtrailers. Then I had like what looked like a chem bomber. It looked like a jumbo jet, and that was doing the big, huge one that does the big plumes out of both sides that turn into the chem clouds. And then there was this one rogue red airplane doing it. And so, I mean, it's multiple different airplanes.
Right, and they all can fly at the same altitude, and there are jet engines on business jets that you could put your arms around, and there are jet engines on the big commercial jets that you can stand in. So don't you think that there would be a difference in the contrail coming out of those totally different types of jet engines?
Yeah, but that wasn't my point. My point was I was trying to tell you that there are multiple different aircraft involved in this, and I have documented that. And no, I'm not out there taking pictures of contrails. First of all, I wouldn't even have time to take pictures of contrails because contrails dissipate behind the back of the plane as they go. Contrails do not stay up in the air for hours and spread out into chemical clouds.
But I send you a fact sheet that explains they can linger for hours.
Do you really think that I haven't studied contrails? I have studied contrails till the cows come home. I've been, for lack of a better word, harassed by disinformation agents that attempt to try to silence me, and it's not going to work. The only time when I will shut up about this is when the EPA acknowledges my claim and comes out and does something about it. I could be wrong. I'm more than willing to admit I could be wrong. So come out and prove it. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep, in fact, if y'all don't acknowledge my complaint, I'm going again to ABTV 10 News, which I've already done once, and I'm going to go public with this.
Okay, it's your right. I can't. That's your right.
But you set up the Clean Air Act to protect us, and it's really not to protect us because you wrote out airplanes.
We haven't ruled out airplanes. We are ruling out chemtrails.
But you can't rule out something you're not even acknowledging exists. How can you rule out something that you have not investigated at all? What investigation have you done to any of the claims that people are seeing these?
I don't think I'm going to be able to explain anything that will change your mind.
But I just asked you a question. I just asked you, have you ever acknowledged anyone's formal complaint on chemtrails, like the 2 that I put in, or anybody else's?
What do you mean by acknowledged it?
I mean that you actually followed up on it. You didn't just give them a little fact sheet on contrails and tell them to go on their merry way.
We have not sent anyone into the field to take measurements at people's houses, if that's what you mean.
Well, what can I do to get that done, Bruce? Bruce?
What?
Is there anything that I can do to get someone from the health department, DEQ, or EPA out to my house to take a soil sample? It's fine.
I'm surprised that the state doesn't want to do it. There are other states that do.
Don't leave me with nothing. I mean,
yeah, I understand. I'm trying to help you, and to me, the one that makes the most sense, especially if you think everybody is in a conspiracy, is to take a sample to one of the universities near you and ask them to do it, and it's free. Can't imagine they would charge you for it.
Okay, well, I talked to my dad about your idea about that, and he said that it was not. He said it wasn't free, but it was a good idea. But he said, "Oh no, that's not going to be free." And I said, "No, the university would pay for it." And he was like, "Well, I don't know, but I don't know." But see, how valid is that test study going to be? Would you then take the results from that? If I went and did that, would you do something about it? And even if you could do something about it, can you even stop these planes? Do you even know who's doing this?
With the controls that are on, I mean, people believe that a plane can fly into our airspace unidentified and fly around. I find impossible to believe, particularly after 9/11. So the thought that there are planes...
Do you find it impossible to believe that they put fluoride in our water and put GMOs in our food? Is that impossible to believe too?
Nobody's disputing that.
Okay, well, it's all along the same lines, and I'm trying to figure out if it's all clumped together. I'm not going to allow y'all to poison me. I'm not going to do it and stay silent, and I take a lot of flack. I take a lot of flack for my position on this from friends, family, and the public because I am kind of hardcore, I guess.
The only other thing I can think of that you could do would be to contact your congressman or your senator and ask them to do something.
But you're the EPA. You're the one that's set up to regulate this.
I understand, but what we do also has to be ruled and legislated by the Congress.
Okay, so even if you were to come out and do a soil sample and it came back, then it would have to go through Congress?
Right. Well, I mean, we just can't enact laws. We don't have that power, but maybe...
Those dirty, evil... The system
I'm just trying to give you some ideas.
Screwed.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to help.
The system is screwed. I hope that you realize. I see the forest through the trees now, Bruce, and I know I put you through the ringer. I did that on purpose because I'm really trying to get something done about this. And I was just like this last time I talked to you, as overzealous as I am now.
I'm just trying to help you. I'm honest. I cannot come out and take a soil sample to your property. I don't leave my desk. But I just try, some
and you can't get John Brandt. You can't go ahead and contact him.
I can call him again and try, but I don't think I'm going to be successful either. But I will try if you would like. Aren't
you above him?
No.
You're not above the EPA. Wouldn't be above the DEQ for the states.
No, the states are. There's a. I don't want to say a. There's a fine line. There's a fine line on what the federal government, and then there's this big thing called states' rights, and the states maintain that they are in charge of their state, so that we put out laws that govern the United States, right? All states across all state lines, but within the state line, we don't go there.
Okay. All righty. Well, go ahead and call John Brandt for me, please, and tell him that I'm going crazy over here and that I need something done. I will check into the independent university study, but I just can't, in good conscience, allow y'all to do. And when I say y'all, I mean the powers that be, whoever is doing this, to just continue spraying me like this and stay silent. I'm not the one. Maybe somebody else will be a sheep and just follow along with that flock, but I'm not the one. So.
The only other thing I can think of is if you're right about the number of people that are concerned about, put out a petition and send it into your...
I already signed the petition for it, by the way.
Oh, okay. And send it into your congressman or congressperson or into the Senate.
Okay.
I don't know what else. I'm trying to help.
Bruce.
All right.
You did good. You held your own with me.
I'm trying.
All right, Mr. Mayoff. Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.